Hey guys, welcome. Thank you for joining us again on YouTube. Got another interview style video this time after the last one that I did with Adrian on tax. We got Pav Hundal here from SwiftX. How you doing, mate?
Hey, I'm good. How you doing, Trav?
Mate, I think we're all on edge, mate. Like all of us. All of us. Yeah, so I brought Pav on, and thank you for your time, sir. So just talking about the whole Coldcard exploit that happened, and everyone's panicking. Those people that were having their wallets, are they safe? Is my money safe? Do I need to worry about it? I got a Trezor or Ledger or something else. Do I use a custodian? And I thought to get the custodian's point of view, we could talk to someone that I know that works at a centralized exchange. So, there are positives and negatives to all custody solutions. So if you are worried about self-custody, and everybody's freaking out now, you can see it on Twitter like all the time. There's trade-offs. We'll talk about both. We'll talk about the pros of self-custody and then cons as well. But I thought that we would get the take from somebody that works at a centralized exchange as to, because it's all poo-poo, right? Because you hear from the Bitcoin maxis, not your keys, not your coin, and yada, yada, don't do that. But, we've constantly seen, we've seen exchanges get hacked, and now we've seen hardware wallets getting hacked. And we've also seen in the past software wallets getting hacked, just with those fake apps on the App Store. Even this week, did you see that news from that guy on Twitter or something?
There's so much stuff going. Yeah, there's even just websites popping up that are somehow ranking high in Google search. Just AI spun up wallet drainers.
I know. There was a guy this week. I saw it on Twitter, and he had a cold card and he was freaking out. Then in the middle of freaking out, he went to move it off the cold card as quickly as he could, and he went to the App Store, like the iOS App Store.
Oh yeah, I did hear about this.
And he downloaded a wallet app which he thought was legit.
Wallet or something?
Yeah. But it was a fake Wasabi wallet, and he lost all of his Bitcoin. I think it was like a sizable, 605 or something.
Yeah, it's pretty juicy stack.
Not a small amount. And I'm going, oh, that's brutal. So. I mean, we can talk about software wallets a bit later, but so for those of you for those people that are watching that are freaking out about paper wallets and self-custody, and they're contemplating using a custodian like an exchange, what's the landscape like now? I remember years ago there was no Australian exchanges, so you kind of had to do it. But now we have various Australian exchanges, and I know you can't speak for them all, but in Australia now there's better laws, better regulations. Just to set up an exchange, you need to pass through all these checks. People know where people live, so if SwiftX was to come and steal everyone's Bitcoin, then they would know where all the directors live, and
pretty much
and just go knock on the door, right? So how does it work with what safety stuff you guys got in place?
So I think just to sort of add to that, it has, by dealing with an Aussie exchange, really it changes the lens of something goes wrong, what jurisdiction are you dealing with to engage with federal agencies, local state agencies, to be able to go and reprimand them and do what you need to do to get back at them, right? So that's the kind of risk that you do take with some of the bigger exchanges that are, or even it's probably more smaller exchanges overseas. I know the old sort of meme was when Binance falls over, the whole crypto industry is dead. So I don't think anyone saw the bigger guys falling over in any sense, but there's been quite a fair few small DeFi hacks, small exchange hacks. These things happen, and there's a pretty similar reason why they all happen. They just have pretty poor processes. So again, for companies like us, we're ISO certified, and that's just a fancy way of saying we have processes and documentation to everything that we do. There's checks and balances that if they don't add up, auditors come chasing us before any customer will. But I think the biggest thing that's missing, I know the biggest thing that's missing is everyone wants crypto to look like the stock market or your banking depositories, where if I hold money at an institution, there's insurance, right? And the only way to fix that is regulation. And the only way to get the regulation is to get a country that's probably not Russia, to finally put through some legislation to put the rules on the game. So the jab there was, I think Putin signed like an act overnight that basically set the rules on what it looks like for retail to get exposure to crypto in Russia. So Clarity Act is the one that everyone should be looking at there in the US. It's going to set all the rules for exchanges, DeFi platforms, financial products. It's going to give retail consumer laws on like what that looks like. Once you get that, you then have rules also around how assets need to be held as part of like a best practice and best standard. And then once you get that, you'll get insurance companies that basically say, okay, well, if you guys follow the rules that the regulators said, we'll insure you up to $1 million for this amount of money. And that's kind of like when the economics turn to like that next gear, where all of a sudden like consumers will be able to see similar protections across the different aspects of their portfolio, right? Like you shouldn't be penalized for looking at this sort of space, thinking that there's a bit of blue sky and that you're going to take a little bit of exposure to Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, whatever you're looking at. Yeah, a lot of it's going to come down to rules coming in. And the unfortunate part with rules is there's bits that people like and don't like. So in Australia, we recently had like the travel rule go out with exchanges. So where you have to say where you're sending your assets. So that's like one example of like you give up a bit of freedom to work towards this centralization authority legislation, so then that can then protect consumers in the future. But then the opposite of that is like it's just like the Wild West again, or it is what it used to be, but then everyone has to self-custody. But then you get honestly what we saw over, like I've been there almost since like day one, but like I was on the phones even with customers back in 2020, 2019. They're just panicking because they wanted to do the ledger, they wanted to do the Trezor, and they would do it, but then they would like screw it up. And like, thankfully, like a few times they didn't send the whole amount at once. Or worse than that, they'd not write down the private key correctly. One of them, they literally smudged a character and like spent 3 days just guessing what that character was. Like it's, there's a lot that, gets romanticized about self-custody. And I would say it's just like different strokes for different folks, right? I know I've been rambling for a while here now, but like there's risk for anyone, right? And I think it's what we spoke about off air. It's just like, this is kind of just the same thing wrapped in a different flavor. It's just, there's always a counterparty. It's either yourself or someone else. You got to trust someone to like look after your assets.
Yeah.
I don't think that really goes away.
No, the whole trust thing never goes away. Like I was thinking about it actually in the last couple of days because people were complaining about Ledger and Trezor and saying that it's all closed source and you can't trust them.
Yep.
And I'm going, well, Cold Wallet or Coldcard was open source, and unless you are a dev reading the code yourself, you have to trust somebody else that can read the code to know that it's right. And that bug was there for 5 years, they're saying.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter whether it's open source or closed source. From that perspective, you have to trust somebody. So you're either trusting somebody else to review the code that's open source and actually know what they're doing, or you're trusting the closed source company to just believe what they say and say, our code actually does do the random number properly. Yep. And you just have to go, okay, we believe you, right? Or if somebody's gone to the trouble of hacking it apart and looked at the chip itself and go, oh, there's the chip. I've seen that chip before. And then they, and then they like wire it up on some sort of Arduino breadboard thing and start probing at it. And they do all that, but you're not doing that. You have to watch the YouTube video of the guy doing it and just go, oh, okay, I believe you, right? There's always trust. So
yeah.
What sort of level of trust are you going to accept? Like, right?
Yeah. And I think the answer for most people is different, right? Like if you've got a lot, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a heap of people now saying, look, I'm kind of done with the self-custody thing. I want to just go and get something like iBit, right? But even then, like you're still trusting someone else. But for people that might seem like a much more tolerable trust for a fee, right? Because obviously then you're going to pay like a management fee for holding that. I just think it's going to be interesting. I feel like this is just going to be a replay of FTX, if I'm honest, because what we saw from there was a mass self-custody, like looking at our own exchange stats at the time, but then it all sort of came back eventually because I think people just genuinely don't want to hold the majority of their assets themselves. So I think the most common thing that I've just seen anecdotally is like a hybrid. They usually will put things like that it's stakeable. They'll put them on like ledgers. You still got to be careful there with what dApps you interact with because that could open up doors.
Yeah.
Bitcoin. I still have customer that calls me and like I haven't spoke to him or like been in charge of his account for years, but he still likes to just contact me because he has my number and he'll like say, "Oh, can you just watch me do a like Bitcoin transaction to make sure I don't screw it up?"
Yeah.
I'm like, sure, why not? Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a one sock fits all, but I think you're right to call out the whole open source thing. Yeah, what are you willing to trust is probably where this kind of needs to go.
Yeah, like even the auditors. Remember back in DeFi summer when there was just auditors constantly with all the protocols, and auditors would go, "Oh yeah, we're just waiting on the third audit to come back and the fourth audit," and then everything goes on for like a couple of months is fine, and then some random just exploits it.
Yeah, and do you remember like there was like this insurance tokens popping up as well, where they actually didn't insure you for anything, but again it was just a badge.
Yeah, well, yeah, and there's I think Nexus was like the biggest one, but they never paid out. They never paid out, and of course you wouldn't. Why would you? Like if you are the insurance company, paying out is bad, right?
Yeah.
So you're gonna find any excuse you can to not pay out. So and they would always come up with some reason not to pay out. So the Nexus token would do okay. Yeah, the whole trust thing and open source thing. It's the auditors. There was a couple that were inside jobs too. There was.
Oh really? I'm not surprised, I guess.
Well, yeah, like so because the auditors get all the source code, right? So they're in there trying to break it, and then they'll go, okay, yeah, these are all the exploits and these are all the bugs and blah blah. You got to go fix all these, okay? But then they'll just they kept a couple, and then somebody leaves, one of the orders or whatever, and then later on they just activate the exploit and run away, chuck it through a mixer, and then they're gone. So there's always a risk.
Did you hear about? Sorry, just on the same topic, but I feel like this is relevant. Have you heard of like Ledger's dungeon team?
No, they have a dungeon team.
So the dungeon team is like, I did a podcast with Charles, who's like their CTO at Ledger, like at the last OzCryptoCon.
Right.
Really nice guy, but like he was like just just one of their devs and just made his way his position up to CTO now. But they've always had this sort of notion that ethical hacking is really important for the crypto community. So ethical hacking, for people that don't know, it's like people go in trying to maliciously break things, but not actually taking that malicious step of taking money out, right?
Yeah, it's the white hats. It's the white hats.
Yeah. It's the white hat hackers. So like one of the biggest sort of calls to fame for them is I think it was the Trust Wallet. So they found like a massive issue with the Trust Wallet seed generator, and then they could have at the time, I think, had access to hundreds of billions of dollars of like Bitcoin and ETH and whatever, but then they were obviously let the wallet founders and tech team know, and they plugged the hole pretty quickly. But there's like, this is pre-AI, but there's nothing to say that even with AI potentially being like a vector for doing damage, it's not a vector for also sweeping up and finding holes, now that there's been a couple of these sort of exploits recently. So, there is the good and the bad too on this side as well, is all I'd say.
Yeah, the whole AI thing makes me nervous.
Yeah.
It makes me nervous. Like, as soon as, from my point of view anyway, as soon as the Australian government passes some laws that are the equivalent of the Australian deposit scheme, like that 250k limit thing.
Yep.
I'm just going to dump it into an exchange. Well, up to that limit anyway.
Yep.
So that means I know if anything happens, I'll be covered and it won't matter, right? I'm happy to get that. Like, you wouldn't be able to get the tokens back depending on what they are, but I'd be happy.
The value's lost.
Whatever the value is at the time, because like even when I was overseas, which is like the worst timing ever because it was October. Because I was
the infamous Travis holiday.
Fuck, I was in Spain, right? In October. October 10th, I was in Spain, and everything's fine up until that point. It's like October, everything's great. I'll come back at the end of the month, and then I'll sell like I planned to do, and then nah. And I'm like, oh great. Please don't like crater by the until I get home, and then anyway. But like I didn't want to take that with me, right? I didn't want to take the wallet. Like you can't take it through like all the countries that I went through, and then or have the device stolen, or have my laptop stolen, or I leave it somewhere, or
anything, right?
Like it gets like you might get a dodgy customs dude, like you're going through a border and then they go, oh, we'll just take your bag. Oh no, it's sus, we're going to take it. And I go, what? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a good shout. I think what's going to happen is like we see with like traditional banks now, even like people have like they willingly pay extra fees just to have money across 2 or 3 banks, so they have that insurance at multiple venues.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I think it's just going to go that way too. Like if it exists currently and people think about it in a certain way now, it's just going to translate across to crypto. I just feel like it's just going to make sense.
Yeah. It should. Like, are you across why the Clarity Act is not being passed as quickly as it should be?
It's not. It's political tool, right? Like
So
it'll get through eventually, but it's just like recess is like what 7th or 10th of August, so they can put it back on the docket at the end of this year, which likely puts it. I think it's likely getting approved, but it won't be like the realistic timeline's like early next year, not the end of this year. Like that's the current consensus.
Early next year. What? Because of what? Because of recess? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they go off for 3 months, 2 months, 2 months, 16. I think it's almost 2 months. Yeah.
Right.
So they just got to have holidays.
Oh, they gotta have holidays.
Got to have holidays.
Right. Okay. Well, if that, oh man, that's gonna nuke the market if that happens.
We'll see how much is priced in. Like, I don't know about how you think about things right now, but yeah, kind of everything does look a bit icky anyway.
I don't know. I think it's more tied to what the war is doing than what the Clarity Act is doing.
Yeah, maybe.
Because like it's been, as soon as oil, like even in the last couple of days, as soon as oil's gone down, and then the likelihood of a peace deal has gone up. Like the stock market is now all-time highs. Bitcoin is grinding its way. It's not doing it in any speed or anything, but
Yep.
But if the war started again, like for real, which it could, and Clarity Act got nuked, it would just fucking crater everything. Scoop up the ashes.
Scoop up the ashes.
You have to scoop up the ashes. Which kind of sucks because one of the reasons I got into crypto in the first place was so I didn't have to follow like world news events and politics and shit.
That's the problem now.
But now I'm back in it.
Right? Yeah, you're back in it.
Now we're back in it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what's the process that you guys follow? So you get your ISO certification. What are you doing? So somebody, Joe Blow, Trav, opens an account, hands over fucking like ID and all that shit that you need, the KYC stuff. And then I deposit my Bitcoin into my SwiftX account. What happens to it after that?
So most exchanges honestly do follow like a pretty similar playbook. So it all comes down to like liquidity management. So all that simply means is we'll hold like quite a bit offline or like away in like it's not really offline. It's like what we use like an MPC vault. So whereas like if you self-custody, you have like a private key that only sort of you're in custodian of. Like generally exchanges will use like a counterparty like Fireblocks, Copper's another one. There's a heap of them popping up. There's what's the other ones like Anchorage. There's
Are these all Australian-based companies?
No, so they're all global national companies, usually started up in the US or Europe. And what they'll do is essentially they'll take a private key and shard it, so they'll turn it into multiple pieces. So even if you have one piece of the puzzle, you can't unlock the entire vault of assets. And then be an exchange like SwiftX or any other exchange, you then have your day-to-day trading activity needs. So you essentially will use the liquidity that you need that day to try and facilitate people's trades. And then if at any point there's any stresses, you'd add more collateral in away from like your storage facility, basically do like your settlements. It's not like a traditional business where you're doing settlements daily. Like we're kind of looking at everything like in real time and just adjusting the levels based on the stress that's coming in. Where this all probably goes in the future is we probably won't have to move the assets out of like a vault style service, because we'll probably move to modeling. That'll become pretty common, called like prime brokerage, where you essentially pay another trading house to take a loan for the day and then just settle up the loan with them rather than having to rely on moving your funds around. So I think like that's where the industry will move just naturally, and you'll basically end up a little bit more like the stock exchanges. Like you'll have clearing houses. They just do trillions and trillions of dollars worth of trades on behalf of people as like an intermediary. That just reduces counterparty risk for everyone. So I think it'll just go that way. But that's essentially it. Like any exchange, just because you deposit your Bitcoin from your wallet, it's not an NFT, like it's not fungible. Like you'll basically be allocated like that same amount on the platform. So, you're not waiting just because Bitcoin has like an hour transit time over the network, but you're not gonna have to wait an hour before you can sort of trade, right? So you're kind of just given an allowance based upon what you put in. It's kind of like, again, just measured off that ledger. Liquidity is managed in the background. We use a variety of venues too. So even if there's like a disturbance at one venue globally, it's not impacting like our users' activities. So like all that sort of stuff is kind of just been an evolution of, I think, how everyone's working these days. It's not just us. It's like becoming less reliant on single points of failure. There's less assets just being held at risk at any given time. So that's kind of like, and I think the way that things will go in the future is it'll cost us more to do business, but there'll be more security the way things are going, because it's just following, again, that same arc that TradFi's taken.
Yeah, but there's no insurance currently.
Yeah, so when that all gets pieced together, then we'll throw that on top as well.
Yeah. Does the companies that you guys use, like Fireblocks and whatever? Fireblocks is Australian though, right?
Don't believe so.
You don't?
They have an APAC team here.
Oh, they have an APAC team. Okay, yeah. So do they offer any? I'm sure they offer some sort of guarantees or support agreements and things. But Fireblocks obviously offer, this is our level of support and this is our guarantees and blah blah blah. But do they offer insurance, or do any of the custodians that you say, if we lose $1 million of your stuff, we'll give you $1 million back, or half of it back, or out of our own pocket? Do any of them do that?
They do have coverages of like product failures on their side. So, if there's cybersecurity attacks, like some players like Anchorage, like I think that's the only one I'm recently familiar with, because they're also looking to onboard different potential custodians just to spread our risk across custodians as well. So like, as an exchange, you can do that as well. Not to say that's what we are doing, but like that's something that we're looking into. But yeah, they'll basically provide, essentially, if our product fails to do what we said it would, we have insurance to cover you. And that amount can vary, and I don't have like the number off the top of my head, but it's in the hundreds of millions.
Yeah. Okay. So does that, in the unlikely event of something bad happening, do you guys you would pass that on to the customer?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If that's what was the reason, it was completely out of our control. Yeah. But then you've got the other situation where it's like, say someone loses their mind and steals the assets, and then that becomes more of like a manhunt, like locally. So then you'd want to be in a jurisdiction where the police forces and the federal agencies can go after that person or entity. So that's kind of like where, you can see that other side of the spectrum as well comes into play. There's probably nothing out there that'll stop something like, no, there's actually a lot that'll stop people doing what FTX did. I don't think that could ever really happen again, just because you have to do so much auditing that there would be smoking guns, and the stuff that they were doing was just completely different. So I know like that gets brought up still, which it should, to be honest.
Is that a quarterly thing that happens at your place?
No, it's like weekly.
A weekly audit?
Yeah, it's almost like you have to do like reconciliations, if not daily. And then if something doesn't really line up, it's like, well, you knew there wasn't a rec on the daily time, like on your timesheets or whatever, like your daily records. Why didn't you do something about it? And then that'll impact like your future, like to you like retain your like certification in auditing. So yeah, you become very much just like a traditional business right at that point. It's just like if you turned your blind eye to something, someone's going to ask a question eventually. So you're better off addressing it as fast as possible. Yeah,
right. Well, that's good. What have you seen with this whole travel rule thing?
I think a lot of people, it's probably what you've seen, right? Like it's just angst and like, this is like libertarian, like, whatever you call it. There's no privacy. But I think that just comes innately because the people right now that are active in the market, so people like, I don't know, like us, or like that have been around a bit longer even, they kind of got in for like the self-sovereignty. They believed in like the fiat debasement play and like our cash is trash and all that sort of jazz. So it makes sense that the voice is quite loudly, we don't want this. I don't know how to fix that, to be honest. I don't think crypto progresses without some centralization and, some rules around the game being made.
If you want adoption, it's the only way.
I guess just to finish that point, just because I think the whole industry is going through like a bit of a changing moment, right? Like just think about like even like Discord communities and any community that you've been a part of when it's like quite small and quite like neat and everyone kind of knows each other and everyone's got the best intentions. It's like as something gets bigger and bigger, like you start to get like people that will take advantage of those people that are just so trusting. And I think, you know, if you're seeing crypto adoption grow, you're just going to see more of those bad players come in unless you start to put better rules up. So I just think it's a natural part of it all, in the direction it's going.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for it. What I'm against is being forced to do something, right?
Yes.
So as long as you have the freedom of choice, like what pisses me off about banking right now is that like I can't go and just take out my money whenever I want, right?
Yeah.
Like who, you know, it's my money. I don't care what you do in your bank business and, you know, your daily settlements and all that sort of shit. Give me my money now. I want it. You know, I need to do stuff with it, and what I want to do with it is none of your business. But you know, you get the Spanish Inquisition, right?
Yeah.
And then I think it's like a 10K limit. Well, at least it is at my bank. I can't take anything more out than 10K. They have a
it's crazy when you look into it. They've got 90 days to even give you your 10K if they wanted to.
Yeah, they've got a piece of paper on the window at the teller. It says, you know, maximum withdraw 10 days. If you need more than 10K, you can phone the bank, you can phone the local manager at that branch and have a discussion. And then if you give them, and then they say it's like a 48 hours heads up or whatever, and then they can organize more money for you. But
I think the answer's got to be in between that, right? Like you've got no rules versus oversight. Like people are wanting. I think crypto's got this nice opportunity to be the middle.
I'm all for the rules, right? I'm all for the rules, but I'm also all for the just the option, right? If you want to use our regulated system, you need to follow our rules, and if you don't want to use the regulated system, then that's cool, but you're on your own. And I'm going, well, that's fine. I'm an adult. I can make my own decisions, right? Yeah, that's the part that that's what I wish for. But then you have all this overreach now where it's just the overreach I think that people are pissed off with. Like if you ask the Bitcoiners about, you know, you're in it for self-sovereignty and blah, 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 but you do understand that there are some people that can't even remember their password to their email address, right? How do you expect them to keep, you know, their money safe? Yeah. Right. And,
exactly.
Right. Some people can't do it. Some people don't want to do it and don't have time to worry about it, and we're happy to pay, you know, the metaphysical price or the actual price to keep it safe. So
no, the answer is definitely hopefully somewhere in the middle of those two extremes. Like that's what you got to hope for, right?
Yeah.
Well, question for you then: are you changing anything you do, like with your ledgers? And
as it turns out, the ledger that I've got was one of it's so old because like I bought it as soon as I got any decent amount of coin back in like, I don't know, 2016 or whatever. It's so old that all of the new potential backdoor things that Ledger put in don't exist. They don't physically exist. It cannot. So it's actually one of the safest ones. The only problem is that it's really like it's on its last legs. So for me, like I'm okay with it. I'm not happy with Ledger that they can't keep a customer list safe because they had their leak, right? So that's not good. As far as their chip is concerned, with the randomness is fine. What am I going to do? For now, I'm not going to do anything, but I have been wanting to get it off it for a long time though. Like I've got, I just wanted to put some of it into, I actually hoped just to sell it all at the top of the market, but that didn't happen because of October 10. I mean, I did sell a large bit though, but I've still got the cold storage stuff that I couldn't take with me. So what do I do with that? There's a good chance that with the way that I see Bitcoin headed now, which is really the only thing that I would hold long term, I don't think it's going to get to where we thought that it was going to get, say, in the first cycle. So I may end up just selling it all, and then the minimal amount that I keep, I'd be comfortable to keep it on in a software wallet or something.
I mean, that's a good way to actually put it, right? Like, if there's a reason why like you're sweating so hard, it's because 90% of your net wealth is in Bitcoin. It's like, well, is that ever a fucking good idea? Like,
I know. Well, So I guess for me, I've got, because I did sell a whole heap before I went on the holiday. I am not as exposed anymore as I used to be, and I've got a bunch in Vanguard now, and I've got a bunch. I've still got property and cash flow. It's kind of all
diversified.
Yeah, it's all kind of diversified around now. So, but I do, I personally don't see the tremendous upside that we all hoped it would be a few cycles ago because of the regulation, which is a good thing, but the volatility is being destroyed, which is exactly what they want, right? So you can't have a store of value with massive volatility. If you want to have, currencies being backed by Bitcoin, you can't have it crater, 80% every 4 years. So will Bitcoin get to $1 million? Maybe, but it's not going to happen in the next cycle. It's going to be a really, really, really long hold. And do I personally want to hold it that long, given all of the shit that's just been happening, all the manipulation that's been happening, quantum, which is I don't really think is a big.
Yeah.
It's not really a thing.
No, I don't think so.
It's not a big deal. No, I shouldn't say that. It's blasé. If a quantum computer could crack passwords and Bitcoin, like the entire banking system is fucked. So we've got bigger problems than that, right?
Bigger problems. Yeah, agreed.
So yes, it's a problem, but if somebody came along with quantum and broke Bitcoin, all that would happen is that it would be patched. There would be a fork. The community would vote for it and say, "Yeah, no, that's fine," and then we just keep going the way that we were going. But yeah, play on, right? So that's not an issue. I guess just for me personally, do I want to diversify more out of Bitcoin? Probably yes, only because of my stage of life. I've got the kids, it's just me earning the income. So, if you're in your 20s, it would be a different story, right? You would have a different plan. You would, you'd want to hold it long term as long as people like the lawmakers don't screw it up, which they might. Yeah. It's too uncertain. I could see the clear path earlier, right? In the 2017 cycle, because you could see the possibilities. We're going to remake the banking system. We're going to redo all these things, and then we'll have our own version, and then it'll get adopted or whatever, right? But as the years have gone on, every single time something's tried to take off, it's always failed or it's always been exploited, and people are trying to create solutions that for a problem that doesn't really exist. Like blockchain is really amazing at a very, very narrow set of things, and that's probably all it will be. So gaming won't be. It'll just be trading, speculation, tracking, and stable coins, which is kind of like the same thing. So like tracking, there are benefits to tracking, like with postal stuff, or NFTs for ticketing, like anything that you need to track a singular item of and prove authenticity, with tickets like scalpers and stuff. But places like Ticketmaster are making a mozza anyway, so why would they change?
Exactly, there's no incentive.
Yeah, there's no incentive. But with banking and moving money from country to country, tracking ledgers, you don't have to trusting anybody, that's fine. Trading, on-chain settlement, like all that sort of stuff, tokenization, that makes perfect sense. Gambling, which is just a derivative of just speculation, really. But I can't see any other thing that you try to do, you are better off just using a database.
Yep.
It's open source. It's been battle tested for the last 50 years or more in some cases. It's way faster, costs nothing. There's no tokens or anything, right? And if something fucks up, you can just go into the database and change it. So I don't know why, yeah.
I got a bit of memorabilia you'll love though. Yeah, that's sweet. Ba-ba.
Sweet. Oh, wow. All right. Did you end up getting
my desk to remind me?
Did you end up getting one of them?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it looks all right.
Has a wallet on it that has no value.
What does it run? Android or something?
It's like its own firmware based off Android or something. It's like Playtron OS or something.
Right. And what games can you play on it?
You can use it as a Steam Deck. So that's what I use it for.
You use it as a Steam Deck.
Yeah, the specs on it are really pretty good. It's just like, it just looks like it was built by a crypto bro.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah. Okay, Steam Deck. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, but again, like, it doesn't need the crypto, right?
There was some, is a good question. Like, at that event that we caught up last, which was all that time ago, I was having some drinks there, and there's some guy trying to talking about that thing, like a thing that he was in, he was in a business startup thing, and he was explaining it to me how amazing it was, and the token, and we've got this token. I said, oh, okay, and what does this token do? And you use it for this, and you use it for that, and blah blah blah. Okay. So why wouldn't you just use a stable coin for that? Right? Okay. Well, okay. So what's the value of it then? So what gives it its value? Oh yeah, if you do this, it's worth a bunch of dollars. Okay. So why wouldn't you just use a bunch of dollars? Like use the stable coin. It has, right? You're adding friction to the user. You're making them buy a token to then use that token for money. Essentially, what gives the token the value? Why would you even do that? You've added all this risk and regulation and stuff to your thing where you could just accept cash. Like does your system work without the token? Well, how are they going to pay for it? Well, they would just use stablecoins. I think I ruined his day because he was really happy about it, and then after that he was kind of really sad. I said, yeah, I get it, man. I do get it. But do you actually need it?
A lot of it is people look and research into the space and they saw what worked in like 2018, 19, 20, 2021. And it's just like, that's just all what people thought would work. And we know now that those mechanics and tokenomics, like look at every DeFi yield platform. None of it made sense, right? Like all dilutionary, inflationary. Never built to actually last the test of time. But at the time, it's just what everyone that was like, again, like I was in that camp, like you're just trying to learn about how DeFi works. You're like, oh, cool. Well, I guess this is what it should look and smell like for it to be successful. Because look, I remember like QuickSwap. I was like, oh, look, QuickSwap keeps going up. So like everyone kind of has like, okay, well, I saw that behavior when it had this pattern of tokenomics, so therefore that's what makes a good project. I just think that's just what we've seen, and probably like this little rinse out is good in a sense because it's like brought to the front of mind that projects like Hyperliquid is actually what you actually need, like things that generate revenue. They take their revenue and then they actually buy back their own token, so they actually believe in it enough to want to buy it themselves. Like it's not just a dump on the community 100%. Like people probably want better economics around things now.
Well, why do you think Pump is in the toilet then? Because they're doing exactly the same thing that Hyperliquid is.
Well, let's think about their product. I think Pump will be huge. Because I'm, again, like, I don't know, people don't like it, whatever. I just think another good use case for crypto is meme coin culture. I just don't think that ever goes away.
But again, if Pump didn't have the Pump token, Pump the platform would still operate exactly the same.
No, it would. I'm not sold on why you need that token in that situation unless there is more utility. Like if you actually lock it up so you stop it from being sold, you get rewarded in some way, shape or form. But then that even eventually probably results in a cascade of selling anyway. Again, good question, right? Because then it's like, well, this is trying to look like that, but it still doesn't quite meet the brief potentially. I
don't understand why you would like even in the Solana community. Everybody's crying about the Jupiter token. I go, I use Jupiter all the time. Yeah. I've never had the token, and it works perfect.
Yep.
Uniswap's the same. Like Uniswap have been crying for revenue share on that token.
That's the one thing that they could,
since its inception.
Regulation. Yeah, with regulation, like you might be able to like actually earn a dividend based on like holding those things. So it'd be classed as like a security then. So like maybe like those things would pivot to some sort of model like that, where it's like
you just get
selling the stock because it distributes and gives you like a dividend. So maybe now the token could do the same thing.
Yeah,
but not right now.
You just get
not me.
It's just constant sell pressure though. That's the problem.
Well, if there was a reason to hold it because you got paid a dividend based on the revenue and performance of a platform, maybe you take that away.
But you would get that. The way it's worked in the past is that you get the token as the reward.
Yeah.
So then
that's no good.
But then people just sell it. Oh, thanks for the extra tokens for my income. No. I'll just sell it, right?
No. Sorry. No, it'd have to look and smell like, I don't know, again, like what people are used to. So it's like you hold, I don't know, whatever shares high dividend in Australia. I actually have no idea right now, but it's like you get paid in Aussie dollars, right? So it'd be like some sort of stable coin.
Yeah. I can see that would be better, but I don't know any place that does that, which seems nonsensical to me. I mean, why would you want to give out more of your tokens so people just dump it?
Well, yeah, exactly. It'd make more sense to not do that.
Yeah.
And then maybe people would actually buy your token because they can stake more and earn more yield.
Yeah.
I think we're onto something.
I think we're onto something. We've just reinvented fucking equities. Equities and dividends. We've just reinvented it. Right? That's all it is.
Yeah. Yeah, but what it does is actually,
Yeah.
you know, it means more people can play the game. There's less borders, less red tape. Like, there's less, like, you must be from this country and be this type of person to be able to get into this. Like, it does remove a fair bit of that bureaucracy.
Yeah, the guys at Backpack are doing pretty good on that. I need to look into that more. Yeah.
I haven't looked into that at all. I have a Backpack wallet, but I haven't used it much.
Yeah, so Backpack, if you buy equities on Backpack, you own the actual straight up equity as if you would be buying it at like a normal broker.
Yeah, okay.
And it's a tokenized version of it, obviously, but you can trade it, but you own it. And if you want to withdraw it to your brokerage account, you can do that.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So it's actual shares. I haven't looked into it any more than that. Like, you know, is it easier to sign up with Backpack than it is easier to sign up with ComSec or Vanguard or whatever? I haven't looked at that, but you know, they've got.
Just don't want to get drained with your stocks then.
See, I don't know how that would work, right? Because
because
your name would be on a register. If it's actually an equity, a real legit thing, then there's record of you having it.
You would have to KYC.
Yeah. You have to KYC the whole lit.
Yeah.
Right? If you want to use Backpack, you have to KYC, which is why I never used it years ago when it first started. I said, well, I don't have to go through that. I could just trade on Uniswap or Jupiter or whatever. But now there's actual merit behind it. Like, there's an actual use case behind it, right? Because you can.
Oh, yeah, it's a whole exchange.
Yeah, you sign up, give the KYC over, and if you buy equities, you get the actual straight up equity, like the shares. So, you know, I haven't looked into it, what happens after that, but if I would imagine that your KYC details would then be registered with the issuer, even if it's like secondhand, like, you know, the issuer is Backpack, right? But Backpack would know who you are. But then if you withdrew the equities to your brokerage, like, it's actual shares. And if you did lose the tokenized version of it, I'm sure they could just burn it and then reissue it. Because it's an actual share, right? It's not like you're buying Bitcoin on the Bitcoin blockchain and then someone steals it. You can't just reissue it. But with shares, you can. It's just a piece of paper in a database, right?
Back to the database. It all starts and ends with the database.
It does. Like, there's benefits. There's benefits to the database. What problem are you trying to solve, right? Are you trying to solve... Are you trying to solve the problem of I want to make money? Or are you trying to solve the problem of I want individually verifiable, no third party, like trustless tracking of stuff? And that stuff could be NFTs, could be tickets, could be money, could be anything. So if you're trying to solve that, then you would definitely use a blockchain. Anything else, why? Because if it's just money, storing money, it's better off in the bank where it's insured. But then if you want to go, well, I want to be able to withdraw like more than 10 grand out in a day at any time, then that's a different, right? That's a different question. That's a different problem you're trying to solve. And maybe you do keep some of it on the blockchain, but I don't think it's the be all and end all.
Yeah, 100%. It's even now looking on chain, like, to put your money in there, taking forward of 5 to 6% just doesn't seem worth the risk versus a depository account or a mutual fund where you'll earn 5% with taking way less risk. Yeah.
I mean, now, like in Australia anyway, interest rates aren't going to go down anytime soon. The interest rates you're getting now, like even ING, you can open an ING account and get 6%. Why the hell would I put that in Aave for 3%? Or 4, or Camino for 5. I wouldn't.
This kind of gets to me too, because I feel like everyone just feels like everything should be all seasons. It's like, what's wrong with a world where there's cyclicality? Like, there's points where interest rates will drop down to like sub 3%, and then everyone's taking risks, right? People spending money. Probably see on-chain yields go back above 9%. Like, there's nothing wrong with right now. You can make more at the bank, but then fast forward 2-3 years, you could be earning way more on-chain than you could be at your bank. So you just have to just
that's right.
Yeah. It's not that on-chain has to deliver all the time. That's just, why should it have to be like that?
No, that's right. Like peak COVID, you'd be like silly to have it in the bank.
Yeah, correct.
You weren't earning anything. Interest rates are zero everywhere.
Wonderland or time for 130,000%.
Yeah.
Those will come back. I reckon those rebasing things will come back.
You reckon the Ponzi games are coming back, mate?
Yeah, because it worked last time. It's going to happen again.
Oh, yeah, it's fun. As long as you realize that it's a Ponzi game, then
He's
that's
got nowhere to get off.
That's fine. As long as you know it's a Ponzi game.
I'm not saying it's right, but
No,
because a lot of people get misled by it. But I just
Yeah.
think the market will do it, right? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, like meme coins will come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Ponzi games will come back. Yeah, the greed cycle is currently in AI equities. So when it moves somewhere else, it'll rotate somewhere else. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. If you like this sort of video, this interview style stuff, then let me know, because I'll see if I can pull in a few more favors and get more more chats going. Any questions, let me know. Chuck it in the group, hit me on Twitter. Pav, what socials do you want to share?
Yeah, you guys can catch me on X. I'm trying to post it a little bit more. We have a podcast, Tapping Into Crypto. You can come check that out too. You can find me on YouTube as well. Just search Pav at Pav Hundal. You'll find it all. But probably I'd say YouTube is the best place right now. Put out like a weekly piece just on like insights on a little bit of macro and how that ties back into crypto. So trying to like demystify a lot of the noise there. Everyone got caught up in the whole M2, we're going higher. Whereas like that kind of never made sense, right? So I'm trying to just put a bit more effort into, I don't know, just giving people my take on how markets are moving, which, right now, I think, you called it out. There's some pretty cool stuff happening in AI that probably will give us a little bubble signal when it starts to flash. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, I'll get those links. I'll put them in the show notes in the comment section of the video. Thanks, Pav.
Too easy.
We'll talk to you again. Bye.
See ya.